part number 104 in this series, which I never thought we would ever reach. It's going to be a very long video. So what I had to do was divide it up into A, B, C, and maybe even a D. I don't know. We're not done with it. But I wanted to crunch everything and get it done before the New Year's, because after New Year's I want to start on the interior in earnest, okay? We have a lot of work to do in the interior, but I covered a lot of detail this time because some of the folks have asked me to do this. And one young fella in particular, I assume he's a young fella, he said, would you show me how you soldered up that little gray relay that took the place of the brake relay? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. So you'll see that. Now, if you already know how to do all that, just skip on through it. That's primarily for those who have never done that. And like I said, I want to get it all done, all little details, and with the horns and just all kinds of stuff. It'll just click right along, boomity, boomity, boom. Some of it might appear to, you know, just put you to sleep. Well, I'm sorry, you know, skip on through that too. I skip on through videos myself that put me to sleep in certain areas. So I know what you're going through, okay? And not all the videos are exciting, you know? So anyway, you know, it'll say 104A or 104B or 104C, and it will wrap up this video now in 3 or 4 parts, but it will wrap up with us driving the car. As far as I can tell, we're still on track to that. We're going to take her on down the road. I've got more gas in the tank. I put another 5 gallons, and I'm waiting for some more parts to come in. And if they'll, hopefully they'll, let me see, today's what, Thursday, December something or other, the 17th maybe. I don't know. Where's my? I'll tell you what. I can't keep track of days anymore. It's terrible. Used to be years ago. I knew okay, today is the 17th. Yeah, how about that? 17th of December is Thursday. I hope to have these parts in by Saturday, and then I can go ahead and put all the taillight lenses in. That's really going to be cool. And but the parking lights up front, we're going to have to wait till Monday, following Monday. So Christmas week, by the 22nd, 23rd, maybe 24th at the latest, we'll have everything done and do the drive. I guarantee it. Well, hello again. Today is the 12th of December. By the 22nd, which is 10 days from now, I want to have the car ready to go on its test drive and get this video uploaded on the same day so you all can see how it went. And I've ripped out the front parking lights, not essential to the test drive, but I wanted to get them out to take a look at them, see if I could repair them, but actually they're in pretty rough shape, just like the rear. These take 1157 bulbs also, and you can see the springs are so rusty on it. The springs are so rusted that they won't even go up and down in there. So I went ahead and ordered new pigtails. We'll be reusing these sockets. I'm going to polish them up, make them look real good, and then I'll be cementing them back in the assembly that the lens fits in. Now I've got the assembly right now, both of them, in the dishwasher. I gave them a good scrub down a little bit, not much. I'm going to re-scrub them after the first wash. Wifey said no problem, you know, I like the taste of grease on my dishes, so go ahead and use the dishwasher. I said, oh wow, thanks, appreciate that. Anyway, you can see the lenses are cracked here, but I'm not going to buy new ones, not now. I'm just going to go ahead and get these back in. Not only did I order the pigtails for this, I also ordered some gaskets to go around the outside on the, put them in, but this is something we'll get to at a later date. You know, it'll be a cosmetic issue. I don't know how much these cost, but I can shine them up with some, you know, some of that Meguiar's Plastex, make them look halfway decent until we figure all that out and get it installed. Secondly, before we do our test drive, we'll be putting our brand new taillight lenses on. Now, I've had these lenses sitting around now for over 2 years. Over 2 years ago, my son came down right after I bought the car, and he noticed that one of the taillight lenses was broken. If you go back to the early videos, video 1, 2, and 3, you'll see the broken taillight on the left-hand side. Well, next thing, he didn't say a word, you know, and the next thing I knew, all 3 lenses came through the mail. Brand new repros. Aren't these beautiful? They're going to look so good. Now, it takes screws, special screws to put these on with. It keeps the plastic from being broken. You will need Let me see, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 12, 13, 14, 16 of them. You'll need 16 of those special screws. If you want to use the old ones over, go ahead. I don't plan to use the old ones over. They're rusty, they're crappy. I went ahead and ordered from Bird Nest all 16 of them. They're $1 a piece. They're not cheap, but $1 a piece for one screw. But it's a special screw designed to keep from cracking the plastic. You don't want to spend over $100 and some on a taillight lens and then crack it the first time you put a screw in. That's stupid. Here's our centerpiece with our backup light lens here in the center. God, I tell you, I just can't help but get a thrill every time I look at these old Thunderbird taillight lenses. You know, I grew up during this period, but by the time the 60s rolled around, I was looking at having to go in the military and all that crap, you know. The cars prior to that had small, for the most part, had smaller lenses, and they didn't have this big kind of stuff, big 3-piece deal. Thunderbird really outdid themselves, Ford did, when they designed the 64, 65, 66 T-Bird. They really did. They didn't do bad on the ones previous to that either. But I like the flare birds primarily because of this taillight business. I think everybody did. Anyway, I've got to get that little Thunderbird emblem cleaned up and put back on here. It's got the one with the two small nuts on the back. Got to get that done. And that's about it. But once we get them up, I think everybody's going to go, that looks pretty cool. Okay, for those interested, this thing was sold by old Ford parts. I guess this is the phone number. That's where you got them at. And, you know, when you see something like this, you got to kind of take it as a grain of salt. You know, there's no telling where old Ford parts got these lenses at. He may have got it from a different vendor. You know, all these classic car parts guys, they're all in bed together. You know, one supplies the other, which supplies the third guy. And there may be a few smaller ones that come in and buy from those first three. You know, they're all... And that way they're able to control pricing and things like that. And in some cases it kind of screws over the customer, actually. But this was a good deal. I don't know what he paid for it, but it wasn't cheap. But they did do a quality job wherever they got them from. And what I meant by a special type of screw, see that little wide thread right there in the center? Pencil out here. The whole camera may not be showing that quite as well as it should. There's a wide thread right there to design. You know what that's for, to keep it from going in too deep. And there's 16 of these things around the outside of these plastic lenses, and it allows it to go in so far and then stop into that aluminum or that pop metal thing that holds all the lights. That keeps it from going in too tight and cracking up the this. Here's our little turn signal assembly, parking light assembly on the passenger side. It seems to be in pretty good shape, actually. This is might have been a replacement after that accident, one out of a junk car somewhere, but it does have a crack. You know, what can I say? Everything on the car has got a crack, a bust of some kind. But I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to spend a fortune on this thing. This thing here has a slight bend in the corner. You can see it. I'll shine it up, make it look halfway decent, but down inside, that's pretty much a mess down in there. I had to remove the battery in order to take that parking light out on the passenger side here, because the plug, I couldn't get to this plug down here. It was the battery stuck up here, and I couldn't get my hand down there where the plug is. So we'll put the battery back in, and then I'm going to hook up the dimmer switch to see if we have any headlights. A little tip for our young guys out there: whenever you put your battery terminals on, this one here I never did take off. I just took it off from the rear here, because this is that shutdown switch or isolation. I can't even remember what it's called now. Don't care. It's just terminal. I don't know. All I got to do is unscrew that to the left, and it cuts the power off in the car. But anyway, on your terminals, you want, a lot of people will take a hammer and bang them down. You know, don't do that. Go down to Harbor Freight and pick up a $2 rubber hammer and use that, okay? And that way you won't tear up your terminals or your clamps, your battery clamps on the wire. I ordered this new dimmer switch because the one that was in the car was just so rusted, and so it was just totally messed up. it worked, but you had to really jam your foot down on it to get it to work. So that was time for that one to go. You want one that works as easy as that, okay? And the first one I bought, it came in, I didn't even notice, it was my own fault. The terminals, the connectors on the end they're supposed to be, the one in the middle is supposed to be horizontal, and the two on the ends are supposed to be vertical. Well, I went ahead and ordered one because I liked the looks of it, and the price was, you know, it was a little more expensive. It came in and all the terminals were horizontal. I said, well, that's not going to do me any good. So I sent it back, and they sent me the right one. That was Rock Auto. And I also bought a brand new terminal for it, or connector for it. So I'll be lopping those wires off and putting this one on there when the time comes. But I'm not going to do that right now. There's enough contact on the connector that I can just go ahead and jam it in there. Let's see what happens. Alright, let's turn on our headlights. I've got the dimmer hooked up down there. The dimmer switch hit their headlights. Well, I got something out there. I didn't have anything hardly last time. Alright, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, even though this one's a little weak still. I don't know why that is. I'm going to have to tear this one apart again, but this one's looking real good. And this really bright one here is a headlight that I had to replace. It was burned out. Let's hit the dimmer switch to see what happens. Well, there we go. There we go. You know what this means, don't you? Do I have parking lights down here? No, no parking light. Okay, what this means is all I have to do is fix the parking lights now. And I'm already showing you I'm fixing one. I don't know why this one's not lit. It was before. Let me hit the signal light, see what happens. And of course there's nothing. That's okay. Compared to what we had, I'm a happy camper. All I have to do now is fix the parking lights. Well, it's 2:30 in the afternoon and raining like crazy, and I could call it a day and run over to the house. Should I do that? No. Let's get that other parking light out of there. Another little hint for you younger fellers, these rubber grommets you'll find a lot in the old cars. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller, but you know, over the years they get hard as a rock. They really do. They're nice and rubbery when they're new, but this is all part of the wire itself. It's all molded in, so it's not like I can, you know, replace it. I'd have to replace the entire wire. This is the second parking light. Anyway, these things are, they push them up through a hole in the fender, and there's a little ridge around the bottom there that you can see where the fender, the sheet metal on the fender will snap into that slot at the bottom. And all you'll see when you look down in there, you're getting ready to remove the wire, all you'll see is the part here that's painted white on this car. And you're like, and it's wedged, you know, it's through the fender, and the fender's down in that slot, and you're thinking, how on earth am I going to get that thing out of there? It's really not that difficult. All you have to do is take a screwdriver, a nice wide screwdriver. Don't get something narrow. As long as this thing is, you know, salvageable. You know, if it's all busted to pieces, don't worry about it. Just knock it out with anything you can get. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be knocking this thing downward, back through the hole. And in this case, this thing is salvageable. So I just took the screwdriver and kind of held it at an angle like this, and took this rubber mallet and just kind of held the head of the screwdriver pretty tight against it, and you'll see a couple of taps, and one side right here just went through the hole, and then I tapped a little bit over here, and this side went through the hole, and then a little more over here. I'm not talking about hammering it, you know, just kind of tap it, and it went down through this side. So eventually I got this whole one portion down through the hole, or at least partially through the hole. And when that happens, you go down underneath and get your thumb up in there, and then just wedge it right on down through and thread it down out of the car. Not that difficult. Don't make a big, federal case out of it. These things will come out real easy if you take your time. Some people even spray a little WD-40 on them, or some kind of oil or something to help out. I've found out that, you know, if you take your time and they're in really good shape and not all busted to pieces, you don't need all that stuff, but it's up to you. If you want to use it, go ahead. Now when I put it back in, I'll probably use a little bit of WD-40 because I want it to come back up through that hole. I'm going to be bending it left and right trying to get that sheet metal to go back into that slot. So that's all there is to it. Piece of cake. Let's open this one up and take the lens off of it and see what we find. Alright, here are the twin babies side by side. This is the one on the driver's side I just pulled. I'm not sure why it didn't work. I might take a stab in the dark on this and think maybe, well, maybe it could be a burned out bulb maybe. I don't know. What do you think? Well, she's corroded in. She doesn't want to cooperate and come out. So the only thing I can do is dig it out. I'll have to break the bulb off. Maybe I can get away with just breaking the bulb out and then take this thing out from the rear. We'll take a look at it. But this socket on here is also going to have to go. So let me go ahead and break that thing out of there. If you ever have to do this, you be careful and you wear gloves, you hear? And I don't mean smash the bulb. I mean take a screwdriver and kind of try to pry it up. Try to take it out in one piece. You can break it loose from the wires inside the socket. I'm going to see if I can't pull that off. But I'll be wearing gloves when I do it. So here's the best way to do it that I've found over the years. You take, whichever side of the bulb is closer to this, whatever it's in. Get your screwdriver in there underneath like that, a big one, not some skinny little thing, and just kind of lift up. If you're lucky, it'll start to come loose. Then you go to the other side, and you go down, back and forth, back and forth. It's a two-hand operation, but you get the idea what I'm talking about. Here at the beginning of the crunch. And then up and down. Eventually, you'll get it loose enough that you can reach in there with your gloved hand and wiggle it back and forth, and it'll pop those two wires off that hold it in. Now that's what I was talking about by taking it out in one piece. See, there's the wires that were holding it into the base. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much on safe ground by saying that baby's been blown. How about that? Either that or it's one of those amber types. Maybe it's an amber type that's been blown. Now, in order to take this socket out, the base of the bulb will have to come out first, because this thing has to collapse in as it goes through the hole. It's got to be able to collapse in enough to where it'll be able to come out. This bulb base is keeping that from happening. So I'm going to be taking a pair of needle nose pliers, big suckers. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to twist and twist and twist back and forth until that base comes out of there. There's not much to play with there. You only got a little lip. You can see how much lip I got, about that much right there. But you can do it. Just got to take your time. All of this kind of stuff is take your time. Whenever you have a corroded in socket, trying to get it out with a pair of needle nose, and it's corroded in real good, that's generally what they're going to look like when you finally get them out. You're going to have to work at it, but make sure you get a pair of needle nose that are hefty enough to handle it. If you try to do it with skinny little needle nose, it usually just does not work. Now you can pry a screwdriver down in there between the base of the bulb and the socket and kind of work everything toward the center. You can do that, but once you get everything toward the center, you have a little bit more to grab a hold of with the pliers. And then turn it to the left, and out she comes, just like a regular bulb removal. If you get lucky. I've had some that would never come out. You got to soak them in WD-40 and everything. They just will not come out. Those are the kind you got to get the old moto tool out and start cutting. From the rear, of course. And then usually they'll come loose. I've never had one that hasn't come out yet. May wind up ruining the socket in the process, but we get them out. Now it's just a matter of taking a pair of pliers, fairly good sized pliers or vice grips, and putting it on there and turning it left and right, left and right. And eventually, as you pull left and right, you're moving it this way, it should come right on out, okay? If it doesn't, there again, squirt a little WD-40 down in there. Don't be afraid to use plenty of WD-40 on this, because it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, you're not going to be using any of this crap anyway. Well, this one wanted to be really stubborn. That's the roughest one I've removed in a long, long time. So I had to lay some PB Blaster on it, both inside and out, to get it out. It finally came out. By the way, one more thing. The same kind of screws held the lenses in the parking light assembly as the the same kind of screws that are holding the taillight lenses on the rear of the car. They have that really thick thread there to keep them from going in too deep and cracking the plastic. Thought you'd like to know that. Takes 4 per lens. Next, I think I told you about these muffler hangers that I had removed. They were super rusty, really, because they're down low, holding the very rear end of the muffler. So they're constantly having water and ice and snow and crap on them. And these things are really pitted, as you can see, over the years. They're still nice and solid. They're not thin in any place, but boy, they are pitted. So what I did was I just de-rusted them, put some brand new bolts in them, and the reason I did that was they want $45 for these 2 brackets, plus $10 shipping. You got to be kidding me. I'm not paying $55 for that. As it turned out, I wound up buying that rim that I needed, that missing rim that I needed from a guy in Ohio for that same $55. So I got more for my money as far as I'm concerned. But once I got it all de-rusted, it took it right down to the metal, what was left of it. But these are nice and solid. They'll hold the mufflers up. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few minutes. I'm going to put the muffler, first I'm going to tape them up with this aluminum tape. This stuff here is, it's just 3M tape used for something. I don't even know what. I had it laying around. It's aluminum tape. We'll go ahead and tape it. I'll use it like exhaust tape, which is probably pretty much the same, except this will probably be a lot thinner. And we'll wrap it around the spots where the holes are, and that'll take me down the road and back. Later on we'll put those brand new mufflers on and get rid of all this junk, but we don't want anything that's going to impede the test drive, right? Right. Well, as you can see, the old muffler without the hanger just kind of bounces around. That hanger goes right here, right there on that thing. It comes down from there, wraps around here, and holds it in one spot. And the hole in this baby, and this right there, as you can see, got a pretty good sized hole right there and one there. I'm not going to clean it up that much. I'll just rub it down a little bit, wrap that tape around it. This baby, both of these babies are going in the trash right after the first of the year. As soon as I save up my nickels and dimes and get this thing down to get the front end aligned, and then get it from there down to that muffler shop in Sherwood, Arkansas, which is North Little Rock, and we'll get all this stuff taken care of. Boy, it's going to be really nice when I get that new muffler system on there. Anyway, the rear, the bottom end is still looking pretty good. We're in good shape all the way on it. Looking real good. We've been working on it now for a couple of years, but, you know, not as good as I'd like, but, you know, I'm one guy. Got to take care of the wife and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So let me go ahead and wrap the tape around there and get that plugged up and get that hanger on at least this side. We're going to be doing the same thing to the other side. I don't know how big the hole is over there. We'll take a look at that too. Well, that went easier than expected. We got the old tape wrapped around there all the way around a couple of times. It'll probably blow off as soon as I start the engine. I hope not. It doesn't have to last very long. And then what I did was I put a couple of short pieces around the bottom up to about halfway on each side, then ran a couple of loops around all the way around the muffler to tape to it. So I don't know. Maybe it'll hold, maybe it won't. Don't care if it makes it. That's all I care about. And we've got our hanger back on. I got the top hanger bolt in there, nice new bolts and lock washers and everything, with a new lock washer and nut and stuff on this one also. So that's for that. Just for that little top piece that goes up over the top of the pipe, on the other side, and bolts down. So she's good and solid now. She's not going to go anywhere. All right, let's hope the other side goes just as well. Well, I wasn't able to find any holes over here in the muffler on the bottom or anywhere up along the sides. I felt up around the top. I couldn't find a hole. I'd have sworn I heard some noise coming out of here somewhere, but we're just going to have to let it ride on this side, which is okay with me. You know, we're just going down the road and back, like I said. And we do have our hanger back up, and everything is nice and solid now. Those jobs were so easy, a caveman could have done it. 10 minutes on each side. All right, time to move on to something else. The horns. I, for some reason, do not have horns. When I tried to blow the horn, I come out here and I find out that both wires down underneath here are dangling. There's one of them right there. You can see it hanging right there. I guess, I don't know where the horn's at. I don't even know if I have any horns under there. I'm going to have to look it up and see if I can find them. There might be there. They might be there somewhere. I'm going to have to find them and try to hook them up and see if they'll work. Alright, let's try the old horn. Of course. Did I really expect that thing? Oh man, that sounds like one of those old Buzz 1151 horns. That's about the best he can do. Oh well, at least we're getting. It sounds like this horn on this side is working. Oh well. Got one more for Buzz. Let's hold it in, maybe get louder. Yeah, one horn's working. Alright, what that means is we probably have another bad ground. I'll have to remove the horns, clean all the contacts, put it all back in on both sides. This one over here may be shot completely, but I'll go with just one horn, better than none at all, okay? Once you unplug your wire from the horn, there's only one bolt that holds it in on both sides. This one right here, and this one right here. And they'll drop right out in your hand. I spent a little time working the old parking lights over to include the lenses. The lenses shined up, better than I thought, really. But they're still kind of mangy, but that's all right. They'll survive. And this one back here, same way. The rest of it shined up pretty darn nice. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to put a clear coat on the back of both of these. But I can't do that until I fix something. I didn't notice it until I started washing it and cleaning it. And with a Brillo pad and all that good stuff. Right here we have one that's partially, it's been tightened up so tight that it's pulled out. See where it's busted right there, right out of the frame? Get a focus here, there we go. Well, they just pulled it so tight. Either that or this might have been the one on the wrecked side of the fender. But it just pulled right out from inside there. That's that round disc right there. So, what I'm going to do is I have some of that steel impregnated epoxy, steel reinforced epoxy. I'm just going to go ahead and weld it with the steel JB Weld reinforced epoxy. I'm not going to bend it back in. I'm going to leave that little space there so the epoxy can fill it up. I'm going to squish it on down in there and let it set and put a nice little mound up all the way around. And that should take care of the problem there. One more thing. Oh yeah, I went ahead and shined up all the sockets that we're going to be reusing. They're looking real good. I ran them over the wire brush on the bench grinder on the wire wheel. So this is what's coming in, something that looks like this, but in much better shape. I don't know when it'll be here, but when they come in, it'll be going inside this, just like this one did. Okay, and that'll take care of that. Before mixing up and applying the epoxy, as always, you have to give it a nice rough surface to grip. So I'm going to go ahead and use my motor tool with this extra thick cutting wheel I got. I'm just going to use it to rough up the surface, because it'll get down in there where the other ones won't. Grinding stones won't get down into the cracks and crevices there. So it's a two-hand job. I'll work on it and show you when we're done. Alright, we're all mixed up. This stuff cures in 6 minutes. I mean, it dries in 6 minutes, but it cures in 4 to 6 hours. So we've got about 5-6 minutes to mess with it here. I'm going to really kind of glob this stuff on. I want this to be really secure. I also took that wheel and cut down into the groove all the way around where the two surfaces come together. So let me go ahead and build up a nice mound on this. I didn't spare the horses when I put it on there. I used a lot of it, because I want that thing to be as secure as possible. So while that's curing, let's get back to our horn. Our horn is in really bad shape. Obviously bad ground right there. You can see that thing was rusted and not much of a surface to touch the bottom down there. It was all relying on this screw, and a lot of it was rusty up under there. So we're going to clean that all up. We're going to clean the screw, and it's got a lot of junk on it. More bug nests. And over here is kind of nasty, and that connector needs to be cleaned, top and bottom. And there's a lot of bugs and all kinds of stuff down in there. I'm going to have to blow that out with the air hose. On the old horns, they had an adjustment screw, by the way, that adjusted. I think, if I remember, I tore one apart one time on a '57 Chevy. I think they adjusted these contacts like I think it adjusted. You see how these contacts, they go closed. I think when you screw that thing down, what you're doing is you're adjusting a screw against this thing right here, so it pushes it. It puts them closer to get. It'll activate faster, and I think it even changed, if I remember, the pitch of the horn. Yeah, I used to play with them. I'd screw them in and out, But, nowadays I just need a horn. But back in those days it was kind of cool to play around with it. So I'm going to leave it just like it is, going to clean it up, and maybe even give it a coat of black paint. I don't know if I even have any left. If I do, I'll give it a shot after it works, okay? So let me run all this over the wire wheel on the bench grinder. I've got the horn. I brushed it down and blew it all out with the air compressor. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to cover up this tab here and plug paper down in there. I'm going to spray this thing with that rust treatment, and we're going to let that soak, and then I'm just going to go ahead and paint it when we're done. There's not much you can do about these things. You can't soak them in vinegar. You can't put them in water and soak them. You ruin them. Anyway, I've got it grounded right here with a ground wire running over to the negative side of the battery. I just clipped it on the post there. And then I've got the red one over to the positive side of the battery, to that post. And what we're going to do, the positive will be this thing right here. I got it all cleaned up and shiny, as you can see. So let's see what happens. Still kind of weak a little bit. Maybe I should mess with that screw a little bit. A lot better than it was though, huh? I don't know. Maybe after a few more shots it'll be okay. Anyway, that's how you check them out. That's a lot better than it was. See what I do for Buzz? I just made him a new tutor. Well, here's the horn from the passenger side of the car, and I've got it hooked up the same way. Got my negative over there, my positive over here. Got the negative hooked to the ground. As a matter of fact, I'll hook it directly to the thing itself, just to make sure we get a good ground. There we go. Let's try it. Oops, looks like we got us a dead one. Alright, well, sometimes you can take that screw there and back it in and out a few times, and maybe it'll loosen things up a little bit. Let me go get a Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to see if I can't back it out, run it in 2-3 times like that. Maybe we can make it, come up with some sound. If not, I'll have to find another horn somewhere. I've got the screw completely out. Gave it a good wipe down. Had to use a little bit of liquid wrench on it to get it to come out, but I didn't use much. Now we'll go ahead and screw it all the way back down in. It could be the thing was bottomed out or something. I don't know. There's no telling what was done. We'll go ahead and take it down to about right there. Take it over and see what happens. I'll tell you what, it doesn't hurt to give him a little wrap either, Maybe we can loosen that up in there. I don't know. I mean, what have we got to lose? Not, yeah, what? We break it, it doesn't work? Well, it doesn't work now. Alright. Holy mackerel. And I did it without my ball-peen hammer. I can't believe it. That worked out pretty good. Matter of fact, I think it works better than the other one. Alright, we got 2 horns. Well, that's it, folks. I put it in a box and gave it a couple of good layers of this Permatex rust treatment. We'll let it sit all night. I did both sides, and I'll probably have to give it another shot tomorrow. They say, you're supposed to put one on and then wait a few minutes, and 2-3 minutes, then you got to put your second one on. But I'll tell you what, I found out that, after it's set all night, I can come out and even put more on, and it'll still work really good, because sometimes it just doesn't get it all. The way I look at it, this is my can of Permatex rust treatment. I'll do with it what I want. It's kind of interesting. I never got one like this before. But they claim that when 2020 went haywire, I uploaded 1,144 minutes of content. I did not know that. And then down here it says the fans have left 36,600. Oh, come on, go back now. They've left 36,682 comments, and they've shared my content 2,465 times. Now that's from the very beginning since I went on YouTube. Let's see if I can go back and find out. There it is. I joined them, YouTube, 4,690 days ago. Oh my God, I'm getting old. And this tells what's happened since then. And let me see, what did that one exactly say? They smashed the like button. You guys, now this involves me and all of you subscribers, and anyone else who ever tuned in. I think it's pretty neat to come up with a wrap-up like this for YouTubers. Although I don't like their censoring, that irritates me to no end. So eventually I'll probably get away from YouTube, but that's pretty neat, huh? Let's go down a little further and see what they got. On that sharing, by the way, they said here, my comments have been shared. They've shared the content of my videos that many times. I don't know how that's done. How do you share a YouTube video? I don't get that at all. 2020, we picked up 650 new subscribers, which I greatly appreciate. I'm glad we did. And new views, that many. Wow. And it says the fans took this many hours to watch my channel. That's a lot of hours. You guys must be bored. And then they liked 6,461 times in 2020. Well, that's really cool. This is neat stuff. I responded to 62,824 comments. Are you kidding me? Holy mackerel, I must be bored. Oh, they left this many heart things and this many thumbs up in my video comments. I guess that's just to my comments. I don't know where that's at. Could be on all over YouTube. I don't know. Let me see. My year in review. I kept your spirits up. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I hope that's right.